you all. So I would really like you all to give a very warm welcome to Julia Butterfly Hill.
Hello, everyone. You're awake? This is good. This is good. I want to begin by acknowledging what an incredible honor it is to have had Steve share with us, recognizing how much is going on in his community, and yet he felt it was worthwhile to come and share some time with us in hopes in enlightening us some and engaging our spirits to be more consciously involved with what's happening with Indigenous peoples and First Nations peoples, because truly what is happening to them is at the core of what's happening to our humanity. And as they hold the last sacred connection to the consciousness with the earth, as that thread is being destroyed, the thread of our humanity and our connection to our world and a beautiful life is being destroyed. So for him to come is a real gift to all of us. So thank you very much. And we gotta show some love for the organizers and collective and staff and volunteers of home. Woo! It's a lot of work putting on something like this. I mean, wow, you know, it's like pretty much they're just creating a city for a weekend for all of us and taking care of all of our needs, from food to sanitation to water to harm reduction plans to workshops to music to, I mean, you name it, they've thought of it. That's a lot of work and effort that goes into that. So I'm really, really, really honored to be here with all of you today. And I always begin with, I don't always, but most of the time I try and begin with what I call an acknowledgement ceremony, where I just take a moment to acknowledge the place that's holding us, to acknowledge the thread that connects us to the past and to the present and to the future. And the reason I feel called to do that is because I know that to create a world of Om as a way of being, that we have to connect the dots, that we have to connect ourselves past, present, and future with all beings. So I'm going to take just a moment to ground into that space, and for all of you, you can do whatever you want. You can close your eyes, you can jump around, you can leave, you can stay. But for me, it's just really important to acknowledge this place that's holding us and to acknowledge that thread that connects us all. So for me, I'm going to close my eyes, and then I'll begin to verbalize for just a minute, and then we'll be ready to go. I take 7 breaths for the 7 directions: north, south, east, west, earth, wind, fire, water. I take the 7 breaths for the connection of the spirit of above, the Father Sky, and the direction of below, Mother Earth, and the direction within, the 7th direction of the spirit that connects us with everything else, with every direction, and with all beings, past, present, and future. And I take 7 breaths because that's just the right amount of time for it to start getting uncomfortable. In our world that's pushing us into bigger, better, faster now, the act of taking a moment to be still and silent is a revolutionary one. So I take 7 breaths to honor the revolution of being willing to be still and silent, being willing to hear what comes in the silence, knowing that it's not always easy, but it's always important. I take 7 breaths to honor the connection that I walk this earth not as a single being, but as a spirit that's connected to all other spirits. And then as I take those 7 breaths, I feel it go into my body, and I, in this moment, acknowledge and give gratitude to all of you for being vessels in this world. And I give my gratitude and my acknowledgement to the Creator for giving us these vessels to be conscious beings in the world, to be powerful change agents in the world of love and hope and healing and action. And as I acknowledge all of us as beings here, gathered here together this evening, I acknowledge this space that's holding us, this Mother Earth, whose heartbeat beats all day, every day, giving us the gift of life. And I acknowledge the original ancestors of this place, the rocks and the minerals, the 4-leggeds, the winged, the finned, the 1-leggeds of the trees and the plants. I acknowledge all these original ancestors, and through them I acknowledge the original 2-leggeds of this place, the original peoples of this place, the original stewards of this place, who are no longer here. And in that acknowledgement, I hold the place of the pain of recognizing that so much in our society is disconnected. And in that same place of pain, I hold the place of hope and joy of communities like Om who are working to reconnect, so that we don't create the same atrocities over and over again in our life, but instead restore, heal, grow, and transform. Where we live in a world that no longer pushes genocide on peoples. In a world that respects all diversity in all of its forms, and not only respects it, but nurtures it and supports that diversity. So in this moment, I acknowledge the original peoples of this place, and I ask their permission in a humble and a good way to be here sharing this evening. And as I feel the connection of all life, all beings, all spirit energy, I, in this moment, give honor and gratitude to the Creator, the Divine, in whichever way you relate to this spirit, Allah, Buddha, Shiva, Goddess, God, any way in which you relate to this divine spirit, I, in this moment, acknowledge the divine that is within us all and that connects us all. And with a bow of namaste, I thank you for letting me open in that way. For me, I have to open in that way because I feel like otherwise I'm here trying to talk as someone who's acting as if I speak alone, and I know that I'm not. And I have to say that it's hard for me to get on stage in front of people because I'm naturally the person who likes to sit up there on the hill next to a tree or in a tree, watching everybody else. So for me to be the one on stage is a very difficult place for me to be because I care a lot, and that's why I'm here. I'm here because I care about you, I care about our world, I care about the First Nations peoples of Grassy Narrows, and I care about the world in which we're living in, co-creating, and the world we're going to live behind. And so when I come up on stage, that's what I'm coming forward with, is a deep care. So as you heard, for those of you who might not have known, and some of you who did, I lived in an ancient redwood for 2 years and count them 8 days. It's really not all that great, to be honest with you. I mean, I've been stubborn and getting in trouble since I was 2. I've just learned how to direct it into good causes. And it was profound for me to realize that I didn't necessarily have to change the core of who I am. I just need to redirect the energy a little bit. And so I lived in a tree for 2 years and 8 days because my consciousness was awakened in the redwood forest. I didn't grow up having anything like Om or anything close to Om at all. The closest thing I had to Om was the fact that my father was a traveling preacher, so I went from church to church to church to church, and Om feels really sacred to me.